Hey everybody, thanks for coming. We're just going to talk about fraudulent activity and how you can prevent that. You are giving criminals access to your life savings by swiping that debit card at every ATM and every store. If one is able to do so, using a credit card is better to use for your daily purchases rather than your debit card in order to protect you that much more from criminals accessing your life savings. We all need to be cautious about the fraud and criminals trying to steal our identity, our money. Over the past couple of years, I've been tested for the Truth in Lending Act and have read materials over the past week to support my claims for you all today. So an overview of what we're going to cover. You use a debit card. Criminals have the opportunity to steal your money, including your life savings. But you have easy access to your money. What's the solution to the issues? Monitor your account closely, report the fraud to your financial institution immediately, use cash, or use that credit card. When you use a credit card, criminals have the opportunity to access your funds on that card only. Easy access for you to your available funds. You establish revolving credit, and potentially max out the credit card from lack of monitoring your credit balance. So what's the solution to these issues with the credit card? Monitor the account closely, report fraud immediately, use cash, make a purchase with your credit card, and then transfer the payment directly from your checking or savings to the credit card as if you had used those means of payments. So let's look at the risk we all know people take in using a debit card for payments. Fraudulent activity with debit cards is more detrimental to your finances. Using a debit card with a PIN number or even as credit still allows criminals to steal your account information. According to the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's Consumer News, criminals are able to use a device on card readers to store account information from cards being swiped through card readers. For instance, you go to an ATM or a gas station, be sure to fill the little slot there. There could be a little slide over that reader. That could be someone trying to steal your account information right then and there. Anyone with your card number, PIN, and the CVV, which is the card verification value on the back of the card, can steal your money without swiping the card through a card reader at the store. Debit cards release account information for criminals to access your checking and your life savings. So how are we able to prevent the fraud from happening with our debit cards? For instance, use the credit card, use cash, and also take the precautionary measures. The credit cards offer higher fraud protection for traveling, and again, this is not linked to your savings. And as always, cash is best to have on hand regardless as another means of payment for backup and fraud prevention. Applying the precautionary measures in using plastic cards for payment, use the credit card, notify the financial institution if you're traveling, monitor the account consistently. In today's age, we can do that through online banking, mobile banking, text alerts, email alerts. We have no excuse. If fraudulent activity is suspected, contact your financial institution or the 24/7 fraud service which is provided immediately. So you have been given a basis for solutions to preventing the fraud by using a debit card. Now let's get an overview to how it affects you if you follow through with this or not. So do you want better security for you? Or do you want to remain at a high risk? This is your decision. Credit cards save your savings from criminals. If fraudulent activity occurs on the credit card, it's not linked to your checking and savings and can quickly be resolved if reported immediately. Using a credit card typically comes with a reward program to redeem points for cruises, gift cards, and merchandise. This is one of the perks of credit cards versus using debit cards, which may not always have a reward program. Also, after making a purchase with a credit card, if you make the payment immediately thereafter, you're going to keep your credit balance low and establishing good credit and maintaining that good credit. According to the FTCS website, the Fair Credit Billing Act states that if a credit card is reported lost or stolen, the only liability that you have have to pay for unauthorized charges is $50. $50 or $5,000 worth of life savings, your choice. So, if we allow criminals to access our savings, our checking funds through the debit card, here are the pros and cons. Most companies have a zero liability policy, but only for credit cards, not debit card use. If fraud occurs with your debit card, account could be drained in seconds. Reporting the fraud for debit cards under the Electronic Fund Transfer Act requires quicker response and is that much more of a headache in comparison to the Fair Credit Billing Act with credit cards. So now that you are aware about the pros and cons in using a debit card or credit card for fraud protection, what should you do about it? Again, if one is able to do so, using a credit card is better to use for your daily purchases rather than your debit card in order to protect you that much more from criminals accessing your life savings. Fraud can happen with debit and credit cards, but with precautionary measures, it can be avoided and taken care of easily. The credit card offers higher fraud protection for traveling, as stated by Lazzaroni with the bank rates and the FDIC website. If it is better for when traveling, why not use it in your hometown? You use the credit card when you go out of town, use it at home. Fraud can happen anywhere around you, so don't be naive to think it can't happen to you while you're making purchases in your home place. So today, be more cautious about your finances by monitoring the accounts and use your credit card for payments if you're going to use a card rather than cash. Remember this, the decision is up to you and how you want to prevent and handle fraud if it happens. Thank you.